Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your wrong. Let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome back to the Uncensored Self. I am here with my clients and my friend Rose, and we were just giggling as we hit record because I do podcast interviews all the time. And, Rose is, you run your own real estate brokerage. Like, we're forward facing all the time. And I don't know why we're both a little nervous right now because I'm like, you're in my space and all these things. Woo! So, hi. And as always, I always like to have my guests introduce themselves because it's so much more interesting. So, Rose, tell us about you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome.
My name is Rose Nasrazadani. I'm a real estate broker and owner in Kansas City. My brokerage is Teller Realty Co.
Yes.
And I've been working with you for almost 2 years now.
It's been like a year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half. So happy to be here.
That's wild and crazy that it's been that long. Does it feel like that long to you?
It doesn't.
No.
No.
Well, because you've also got married.
And a lot of life changes.
Yeah, it's been a lot of life changes. You've had a wild year and a half, which is really, really fun.
Yeah.
But what's fun about Rose and I's relationship is we did meet on TikTok. Like we met, you learned about me through Courtney Benson, like so many of my realtor clients. And we got on a call and that's how I discovered you were in Kansas City.
Yeah. You were like, I'm literally in town. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Because I just found you on TikTok. I thought it was just going to be an online. I mean, I didn't know where you were. So that was.
Well, and that's funny.
Surprise.
And then when I go to Dallas with Courtney, and like when I go down there, people are always surprised that I don't live there. They're like, "Oh, you're not here," and I'm like, "No, I don't live here." Derek tries to move me to Dallas on occasion.
Really?
Yeah, there's several 1-800-GOT-JUNK franchises down there, and that he could. And I'm just like, sorry, my Texas friends. I'm not meant to live in Texas. I don't think Texas is for me. I don't think that it is.
Well, good. You can stay here. Stay here with me.
So the Rose came to me like a lot of realtors when we started working together in this like feast and famine roller coaster of business, right? You would have really great months or even really great years. And then it would be this struggle. And I think you were the first client who said to me, like, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, when is it going to stop being so hard? Like that was the conversation that started us working together. Is that right?
It is. Yes.
But before we get to that point, I love your story and I want you to kind of tell us like the path of real estate and your career and all of that. Cause you, if I remember correctly, like you've wanted to be a realtor. Like that's what you wanted to do. This was career choice number one. Yes.
Yes. After I kind of carved my own path.
Yeah.
It wasn't what was, I guess, destined for me or what somebody else wanted for me.
Yeah.
But it was for something that I wanted to do. Yes.
But I find that unusual with realtors. Like a lot of realtors, it winds up being like a secondary career or something that happens later, or also tends to be things that people start later, And so for you to have started relatively young, right? You were in your early 20s when you started your career, but that was not the career you were supposed to pick.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
What was that like? Like knowing so certainly I want this path and there was another path that my family, basically, the belief system, my culture believes that I should follow. Like, how did you navigate that?
Yeah. So I'm from Emporia, Kansas, and my parents immigrated here from Iran. And so they wanted the American dream, right? They wanted to create this incredible life and for their kids to have an amazing opportunity.
Right.
And I'm very thankful for that.
Of course.
But when it came down to, yes, their belief system. They were very traditional of like, this is kind of the path you take.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you go to school and then you have a few options. You can be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. And so those were kind of your options.
You would have been a great lawyer.
I mean, honestly, real estate, a lot of it is, I mean, you're writing contracts.
That's true. It is.
Like that.
You're absolutely right.
So, in that case, but so I decided to go to the path of medicine.
Oh.
So I got my biology degree.
I don't get that.
And I mean, that was just kind of something that, okay, well, I guess that's a choice. That's an option.
Right.
So I guess I will just do that.
Right.
Follow my big brother's footsteps.
Okay.
Was also going into medicine. And to be honest, it was kind of an interesting journey because I I would not consider myself studious. I would not consider myself good at test taking, like any of that. And obviously medicine is very taxing. So, but I got in that career and went through my 4 years, got my biology degree, moved to Kansas City, thought I was going to go into medical school. And did not end up doing that. I mean, I failed the MCAT miserably, if we're being honest. Like I just, a few times too, it wasn't just one time. And I was like, maybe this isn't for me. But I mean, again, it was something where I wasn't really passionate about it anyway. It was just something I thought
And that's such a big career to not be passionate about, right? Like you can bullshit a lot of things. I don't think medicine is one of them.
Yeah. Even if I did get in, I feel like I would have regretted it.
Sure.
I was working clinical research because I had a biology degree. I didn't know what to do with it.
Sure.
So I was working in it in the corporate world, and I met some awesome people. Some who are, they're still my friends and even became clients as I got into real estate. It just was not for me. And I climbed up the corporate ladder pretty quickly.
Sure.
Things were happening, but it's like, the hours, not having the flexibility, working for somebody else, having to answer to somebody else, like all of that was just not for me. And so I was applying, I was just trying to figure out at that time what I'm going to do. And the only other thing I'm somewhat familiar with is my dad had a lot of rental properties and he managed properties in Emporia. That's kind of how he built the lifestyle there, is doing that. And so that's something that I was familiar with, was real estate. So I want to invest in property. I want to kind of go that route. And the first step to that was getting my real estate license. And so I ended up getting my license and joined a bigger brokerage and kind of was building my career there. I was on a team when I first got started, and I definitely recommend that for newer agents too, because I learned a lot.
Sure.
And then after that, I went out on my own, and that's kind of the journey of real estate. Yeah.
Why did you choose to go out on your own? Like, what was the drive for not going the traditional route?
Yeah. So I was, when I say on my own, so I left the team within a year, I think a year and a half or so, and became an individual agent.
Okay. So you went from team, individual agent, and then your own brokerage.
Yes.
And then, but what drove you to your own brokerage versus just staying an independent agent for a large brokerage?
To be honest, I liked the small, tight-knit community, the collaboration with other agents, and also I wasn't getting the support and that I needed from the brokerage. And so I decided I want to create something that I would be proud of, that I can have agents join and they can also be proud of where they're working, and to have a collaborative environment where they also can be themselves, and they can be authentic and grow their business that way.
Yeah. I love that because I've worked with clients who both have their own brokerages or do their own thing, or a lot of different variations of it. And everybody has different stories. So I'm just always curious, the driver of the decisions. And you have an aesthetic, you have a vibe, you have very strong values and things that are important to you.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense to me that carving your own path made sense. It's also just your, kind of your journey in general. So you're going kind of against the grain in your real estate career. Did you get resistance from your family when you chose to not pursue medicine?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I told them, I'm going to get into real estate. My parents literally, they drove from Emporia, which, it's not a far drive. They drove here and it was like almost an intervention. Like they thought I was going insane.
Oh, interesting.
And it was just something where I don't think they necessarily saw that career out of me, and because they were very, it was a stereotypical sales job of you have to lie and cheat and push it your way to be successful.
Okay.
And so then
that was their perspective of the industry.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I said, I think I can be true to myself and do well.
Yeah.
And so then that conversation kind of ended, and they were like, okay, well, we just had to let you know that we're not on board, but good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now they are on board.
Of course. Now they are on board. Of course they are on board because, you're thriving, and that also makes a lot of sense. And the reason why and I said this, last week when I interviewed Roxy and in this conversation with Rose, and just conversations I like to have with people, is we learn the programming, right? Like, we talk so much about programming in my work and on the show where Rose, like you chose a sales career, but you had a small subconscious program of what sales was and what it looked like, which also explains the experience you had. You got into the industry, right? The storyline behind it, because we all have that thing, right? The people around us. And it's also can be really challenging because, me, I'm always about like, just do what you want to do, like kind of fuck everybody else, do what you want to do. But that's really hard to do when it's your parents or your spouse or something along those lines. But the way I always see it is like, just like your parents, they think they're protecting you, right? Like that's people around us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never, I don't think, especially at least for, the high achievers that I work with, it's never like, lack of faith in your ability, right? It's just that we just want what's best for the people around us. Right. And that's very much the way that has been demonstrated, especially generation wise with our parents, is like the safest path is always the best path, right? Like there is one right path and we just do it and we're willing to kind of do whatever it takes. That makes sense as immigrants and those types of things. So you had a whole lot of programming that made it probably harder than it needed to be successful in your career.
Yeah, I would agree.
A whole lot of reasons. And like I said, guys, the reason why I like to illustrate these stories is we all have this shit in some capacity, right? Like yours might not be immigrant parents, right? Yours might be, a spouse who believes that way or something along those lines. But it's remembering just because the people around us, their projection is their projection, right? It's their experience. It's their energetics. It's their stories. And it really has nothing to do with your success, obviously, because you were able to buck that and be successful in that capacity. So since then, we obviously talked about you getting married, but you started the business. You were successful when you and Chris met, yes?
Yes.
Like the business was thriving.
Yes.
What was that like? Just running this thriving career. He runs a business as well. Like dynamic wise, you definitely have, strong, capable, competitive, vibes. What was that like? Dating and marrying Chris. Tell me about that. Because he's a strong personality too.
He is. But I think ultimately, because how we met is he actually slid in my DMs, my Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
And, I feel like when it comes to dating, I'm very straightforward, just like how I am in general, like as a person. I'm just very straightforward. I don't like to have my time wasted, that sort of thing. And we had our first date, and ever since then, I mean, we obviously been together and got married and all the things, but he actually has been my biggest support system.
Yeah.
Like, my rock. Because really, I was at still the corporate brokerage when we were together.
Okay.
And so when I decided to open my own brokerage, like he helped me kind of through that.
Yeah.
And so when I got my broker's license and all of that and that transition there, I mean, he's been a huge support with that and a huge help with even, sorry, Chris, the labor intensive building furniture, like having to bring it up the stairs to the new space. And, so he's been a big help for that.
I love that. And like I said, I always like to talk about that part of it because as powerful women, our relationships can be dicey, right? Like again, you started young, you were successful when, you and Chris met. That's not always the case in the women that like their careers thrive after they're in a relationship. So I do think there's something to be said for that like you were very clear on that path and you were winning. And so when he met you at that version of you, it wasn't like, oh, we got married and then all of a sudden my career took off. And so I think sometimes those dynamics can get weird, when you are really successful, but Chris does not seem bothered by it at all.
No. And I think it was almost the opposite. Like he almost was like, oh, I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
I love that. So just being able to grow together.
Yeah.
And that was huge. And also the understanding. I think his big thing too was, because I remember at the beginning with him dating was he wasn't really like, as responsive as girls wanted or like those sorts of things, but he was like building a business and like that wasn't necessarily his priority. Right. And so because I was also growing my business, he was growing his business, there was really a mutual understanding of hey, there are going to be times where we're just not texting each other, all the time or calling each other all the time. So I think that was really important to have that understanding that we're growing something at the end of the day. We want to be together. We love each other, all of the things, but just knowing that, there might be just some things that aren't your traditional, I guess, roles in a relationship.
Totally. Yeah, Derek and I are a lot like that too, right? Like he's really driven. Obviously, I am as well, but like he's my biggest support. I'm his biggest fan, in those ways. And it does make it so much easier, right? Like there are times where he will disappear into his phone. And when we first started dating, I used to be annoyed by it. I was like, pay attention to me. But I've learned that like it's just his drive. It's just what he's doing. It's not personal in any regard. And now I do see it as yeah, like it is part of just makes him him. Like it's part of supporting him in his career and his dreams. And so for me to be like, put your phone down and pay attention to me would be compromising his dreams,
Absolutely.
right? Like it's every now and again, I obviously, and he'll do the same for me,
There's a
right?
time
Like,
and place,
where'd you
right?
go?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like, yeah, if we were just chit chatting about the weather and the plans for the weekend and you picked up your phone, it wasn't because you were being a disrespectful asshole, right? Like that's not what's happening here. But that is true. And actually, Karen Pankuk, who I had interviewed on the podcast, she's one of the organizers of the Closers Cruise, which I went on January. She talked about that. Her husband's in mortgage. She's a realtor. And they celebrated, I think it was their 20 or 25th wedding anniversary. And they went to Europe. But like one of the stories that she had posted on Instagram was the two of them like checking their email and having a beer. And, he was having a beer, she was having a glass of wine. But she was like, but when you're building together, like it didn't feel like it wasn't an imposition to be doing that.
No.
Right. And I think you and Chris have that as well, because you have the second property in Arizona and you guys try to go what, twice a year?
We try to go quarterly.
Really?
Yeah. So we try to go quarterly, not only to check on the house, but obviously that's our happy place. So we like to get away as well. So
yeah. Are you able to unplug when you guys go there together?
for the most part,
Yeah.
yes, we have been able to, even if it's not for the whole trip. Like
Sure.
if we have a few days where we can unplug. But again, I think it's the understanding that we might still be on our phones. We might
Right.
be
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
calls. We're working while we're there still. Working while we're
Yeah.
there. I mean, we are still doing that, but we're in a place that we love and we're in an environment where we love, where we feel grounded and motivated.
Yeah.
So we come back with
Yeah, you always
fresh
come
set
back
eyes.
inspired for
Yeah.
Arizona. You're just like, okay,
Yeah.
I had some time to think about this.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love that you did that. Was that intentional? Like, we're going to go buy this second property so we have this place to connect, or was it more the drive for real estate? Like,
Not at all.
Okay, cool. Tell me more.
Not at all. I mean, it really was the intention of like, oh, maybe we'll move there soon.
Okay.
And then we got this property and we're like, well, we don't really know if we can leave because our businesses are here and we're, we have a good foundation and we're trying to build it here. So then it kind of became, okay, let's make this a, rental property and still be able to,
Sure.
when we want to come, we can
Yeah.
come. So it became that. And I was licensed also in Arizona as well, because I thought I would build that.
Sure.
Again, we haven't spent the time
Yeah.
to be able to really build that business, but that is also there as an option.
Yeah. I love that because I think that's such a great, like, energetic practice that isn't traditional, right? Two business owners disappearing for a week 4 times a year isn't traditional at all, but it is the best thing for you, right? Obviously, I'm a huge fan. I'm like, go, you need to go. But if we could all do that, right? Like unplugged and connect and have that place that we feel inspired. And some people might be thinking like, oh, I can't just go to my second home. Like, any way you find a way to do that. Like my mentor, Stacy, she did have a second property in Arizona as well. But after she sold that property, she would just go to the mountains, right? She lives in Idaho. She's like, she'd just go for 2 days, right? Like I'm in the weeds. I just need the 2 days because environment makes such a big difference, right? It like being in a different environment. We were talking about this because you're getting ready to go to Italy in a couple of weeks, right? And I've said this before on the podcast. And I said this to you guys when I went, on that cruise in January, that like, I think travel is such a cool opportunity to transform because your subconscious can't drive as much in new environments, right? Like you have to pay attention to where you are. You have to pay attention to, what's going on because your brain isn't filtering out the familiar for you. And I use that. Anytime any of my clients are traveling, and I told you this the other day, like, I want you to use the space to like quantum leap, right? Like move through the world in the identity of the woman and with the business that you're creating and what's really important to you. And I think travel is so great for that. So just like being able to unplug in that way, I think is really powerful. Let's talk about the work and kind of the inner work and then the feast and famine roller coaster that you were on. And then, the money drama that every salesperson I know has of, there's never enough. Like, where were you when we started working together? And like, what's your experience been of experiencing real estate in our 1.5 years together?
Yeah, I think when I originally reached out to you, I think I was just so sick of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I was so sick of the, bunch of business, no business, a bunch of business, no business.
Right.
And along with that, my scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Ultimately
Sure.
around money in general, because it did feel like, when I got into real estate, I was like, oh, when I hit six figures, like
Right.
it's going to be great. And,
Yeah.
and then I hit six figures and I was like, wait, this isn't, I thought it would be better,
Yeah.
and then it kind
Don't
of,
we all? Yeah.
it
Don't we all?
that trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when I reached out to you, is because I just kind of got sick of it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in a better mind space,
Yeah.
just knowing that. And in addition to that, because I think at that time I was like 9 years or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it would get better.
Right.
As you go on, right? Like
Yeah.
you have more business, you have more clients, maybe you have more clarity, like any of that. Maybe all of those things about money would go away because you're making more money. And it it just didn't. And it
Right.
was kind of the opposite, because now there's this shame of, I've been
Yes.
doing this for so long.
Yes.
Why am I still on this roller coaster?
Yeah.
Why is it still this feast and famine?
Yeah. And I have the money and it still feels like not enough. And then I feel like an ungrateful asshole because,
Cycle.
and we just get right back on the roller coaster, right?
For sure.
And, like anything, this work is not, a miracle drug. So there's definitely, still parts of that you're working through. But what do you feel is the biggest difference in the way you approach the business now than you did a year and a half ago?
I think the big thing that stuck out to me was baseline. When we talk about baseline of reactivity, or when I get emotional, or when something happens, how quickly it is to go back to baseline.
Yeah.
When in the past it would take me weeks.
Yeah.
If a certain situation happened in my real estate business that eh, you know it took me off track,
Right.
didn't have business, or
Right.
whatever the case may be, it takes me a lot. It takes me a shorter time to get back to baseline, to get back to neutral.
Yep.
Rather than in the past, it would take me weeks, if not months,
Yeah.
to kind of get my mindset back in a place where, okay, we're good. Like we can start back up again.
Yeah.
So baseline was huge for me. To know kind of where that's at. It has been, and being more conscious about when I'm getting frustrated or things like that, because I'm not at that. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Um,
At baseline, you mean, as your baseline change, the more frustrated you get. Yes. So the way that I always explain this, and I'll tell you guys this, like you always use an energy bank, right? And most people come to me, say their energy is typically between a 4 and a 6, right? So 6 being like, good things do happen in my life, right? But not all the good things. And so when we work together, our goal is to raise, if you're typically, let's say a 6, to raise you to an 8. And so when you go up to an 8, your energy is better, your business is better. But when you get pulled back down to a 4 or a 3 or a 4 because of bullshit or whatever, it's agonizing, right? An energy that you used to live in all the time that was irritating and annoying now feels like your insides are on fire. That's how it feels to me, Rose.
Truly.
It does, because your baseline has moved, right? So when you slip back into that old identity or to that old behavior or the old reaction, it feels 10 times worse than it did a year ago when you have that same reaction. And sometimes that could be startling. Like sometimes you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
I thought this was supposed to be better. I was like, no. Our baseline has just moved. And one of the things we cleaned up a lot with you also was like your standards and boundaries around clients.
Yes.
Right? Like when we operate from a scarcity mindset, which every salesperson under the sun does, and tell me you don't, like challenge me. Let's go. Almost every salesperson in the world does in some capacity. And so we think, we just, if I don't have any business right now and this is the business that's in front of me, I have to take this business because I have the bandwidth and I need the money. And because in real estate, you guys are all trained to believe you have no idea when your next fucking deal is coming. So you must take the business. And so we cleaned a lot of that up.
Yes.
And what has that experience been like?
Because that was exactly as you said, where, okay, I don't have anything else going on. This opportunity presented itself. Let me take this opportunity, even though I would know from the first meeting we're not a good fit, or, because I really want to work with people who trust me, who trust my opinion, who value my opinion,
right?
And who knows that I'm going to get them to the finish line and it's going to be a smooth process. But if you're fighting me, even from the initial consultation, like I know we're probably not a good fit, but then you take that business anyway. And then it just becomes challenging throughout the process.
right? Like we lost Q4 to one of those deals, didn't we?
Sure.
Last year. It was right when you got back from the wedding and you were just like trying to get back into it. And you did. You said yes to a deal that you knew you shouldn't have said yes to. And it like took you for a ride for like 6-8 weeks, right?
It did.
And I point that out, guys, and thank you for letting me share that. Because first of all, you're never immune to it, but it does. Like it never, your brain, because your brain's job is to keep you safe. And if you think money and clients keeps you safe, your brain will talk you into taking that shitty opportunity every time if you don't consciously have your standards and boundaries set and consciously and consistently do the work of retraining your brain for I can be successful and work with clients who really respect me, right? Like I can make a shit ton of money, even though sometimes I turn down misaligned opportunities, and like retraining your brain to believe that. Because I mean, capitalism as a whole, but ultimately the industry has brainwashed you guys to believe, any salesperson, right? I went for a walk this morning with my girlfriend, Heather, who's in marketing. And we were brainwashed to believe that too, right? Nobody wants to talk to marketers. Nobody trusts you. Nobody likes you. I mean, realtors are told the same thing. Every salesperson on the sun is told the same thing. So, there's that reaction, that safety, that security. And so, but now you've gotten relatively good at like, that is not an aligned opportunity for me. How does that feel when you empowered, like from an empowered place, say, I don't think we're a great fit?
Yeah. And I think it took some time to get used to it.
Of course.
Still kind of has that feeling of, oh my gosh, like I shouldn't, again, when you're in real estate, you take everything.
Of course.
Right. So then when you're turning down business, and I think I told you, I turned down, I think, a few things this year. Already I didn't take that business. And at first you kind of have this weird feeling like, oh my gosh, should I have done that?
Right.
It's like a minute after you're like, oh
yeah,
I feel great.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of this release, and it's like, let's go get more business that is actually aligned.
Yeah. Well, and that's always the conversation we have, right? Like it's not, and I say this often and to on the show and to my clients, like you can't miss, like some people say I lost opportunities or I gave up opportunities. And I'm really big on words where it's like, you can't lose it if it's misaligned. It wasn't yours to have, right? That's why when you take that business, that opportunity, or even, you could use this in any area of life, right? You go on a date with a guy that you're like, I don't really know, like it's gonna suck. Sorry. Like it's just, that's the way it is. And if you're wasting your energy, right? If our energy is what's created and our energy is being spent on things and people and activities that aren't aligned, we don't have the energy for the good stuff. Right. Whereas so my belief system, and the belief system I really work with you guys installing in, is like, when I say no, it's not no to business, it's yes to the right business. Right. It's not, no, I don't want this opportunity. It's yes, I'm available for these opportunities. Right. And it's not always the easiest mindset.
No, it's
shift.
a mind yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a mindset shift.
Yeah. So it's not no, right? It's not lost. It's not missed. It's not, I gave up. And we all use those words, but they matter because they mean something, right? There's an emotional charge in your business, in your body, when you say, I lost this opportunity. Like at least in the end, maybe it's just my 30 years of sales conditioning, or 20 years. God, I'm not that old. 20 years of sales conditioning. That is that, like, it's a lost opportunity. It was not a good thing. It doesn't feel good in your body. So to me, it's like, yeah, we just weren't a match. And again, that's everything and everywhere, and everything from the shoes that you're shopping for to the men you're dating to the clients you're taking on to the vacation you go on,
Right.
Absolutely. Like I was supposed to do a 20-mile hike in St. Louis, and I'm still somewhat manifesting that it'll work out. But there's this 20-mile hike over in St. Louis, like in the wineries and stuff. It's supposed to be really cool. And I was going to do it. And I didn't know that I needed to sign up ahead of time. Like I've run races in the past where you're just like, a couple days before race day, you pay your money and you go get your bib. Well, it's sold out. Like I got online to sign up and I was like, it's just sold out, and it's in September. And I'm like, oh. And so again, I had like my moment of like, oh. And then I was like, well, if everything is always working out for me, either A, somehow maybe I misread that and I could go back and or I just wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
And that just wasn't for me. Whether it means I wasn't supposed to train for it, whether it means whatever it means, it's just not for me. And again, I think another version of me would have been really frustrated by that. And I would have beat myself up, and why do you procrastinate? And that's what you get. And blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh, well, that's a bummer. I wonder what that means, and just kind of keep moving. So I know that it doesn't feel as life or death as like yes or no client, but my goal is that you guys all get to that point where it's everything like that. Well, if that did not go the way that I thought it should or could or would, it must have, it wasn't meant for me. And that's just such an empowered place.
It is.
Yeah. You can make clearer decisions. And honestly, I think you do better work for your clients when you're clear. right?
For sure.
Like you can't serve, like if you're over here dealing with homie pain in the ass, I don't care what kind of business you have, right? Like how can you operate at full capacity for everybody if this is draining your energy?
Right. I was going to say it's an energy suck.
Absolutely.
So then if this one person is draining your energy and then you can't serve your other clients at a high level either. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's really important.
Yeah. And I think also, when I asked you to be on the show, you were a little nervous about it. And everybody, like all of my clients, everybody's kind of like, I don't know. But one of the things that I'm going to mirror this to you, and I don't know if I ever really have, but like you, in your mind, last year was not your best year because it wasn't your best year in business.
Correct.
But like what I will point out to you is like you planned an entire wedding, like the most beautiful, incredible wedding in another state. Right? Like it really was. And still you managed to run your business, recruit new agents, serve clients at a high level, plan a wedding, take time away with Chris. Like you really did expand your capacity, but we just have such a fucked up way of like, well, the number didn't go up.
Right.
Right. But like if you think of the last year and a half of your life, you've been coming back since the wedding in November and, Chris's business is in a busy season right now. And you're kind of rethinking how you want to approach the business and all these different things. Like you've so much more capacity than you did. Like you would not have, like you would have folded, under the pressure of the wedding and all the other things if you hadn't been consciously expanding your emotional capacity.
I agree. If I didn't start the work, I don't think I would have been able to do all of it.
Yeah.
So.
And thrive through it. And again, did the number look the way you wanted it to? No. But did you still do great work? And did you still, show up in a powerful way? And I've been having that conversation a lot lately. Like, it's so interesting the way that our brain is like, well, it wasn't my best year because I'm like, well, it was your best year because you managed to plan a wedding and do all these things and get married and travel and, we use that one metric to tell us whether we're winning or not. And it's like, and you were still winning. Like you still had a better year than a large portion of realtors. But as high achievers, we never see it that way.
Because I think it just goes back to money, like the money mindset when it comes to that. Like, oh, I should be doing better each year,
Yeah. And I that's an interesting thought too, right? Like if every year is supposed to be hockey stick growth, right? Like every year is supposed to be bigger and better and bigger and better. And I've been very candid about that on the show. I have not, like my business revenue wise doesn't make as much money as it did 3 years ago, but I personally make almost double what I did. So like, again, what number are we looking at?
Right.
Even the year I did a 7-figure year, like we spent friggin' 800,000 of it on ads and people and, so it's like, woohoo. Nah. And I don't want to sneeze at it. I don't want to dismiss it, but I think that's something too, sometimes it's looking at the different things, is it the top line number? Is it the bottom line number? Or is it just the quality of life?
Right.
And honestly, it's all of the above, right? Isn't that what we're going for? But I think we get so caught up in those things that we can get stuck.
I agree.
So what's the vision for your career? Like, what do you think of like with the brokerage and all of that? This is going to be one of the last questions I asked you, but when you think of like, what's next? You spent the last year, getting married and doing that, and you're settling into that life. You guys have some goals for investments you want to make and things like that. Where do you want to take the brokerage next?
Yeah. To bring on agents who are aligned at the brokerage and for high producing agents, as well as for myself, for my personal business to grow and be aligned and to be in a higher production. And then I have a team within the brokerage. So besides the individual agents, I have the team. So also wanting to grow the team. And then I know me and Chris have talked about wanting to invest more in some properties in the next few years as well.
Are you looking to invest in properties here in Kansas City?
Yes. So it would be, so it would be in town because he is in construction, maybe some flips and things like that. So kind of a mix.
Would that be a different, like, would you two form a separate LLC and do that together as a separate business?
If you were to flip or, yeah, potentially. I think it's very early stages of that.
Like,
I know.
Let's go to step 20.
But so I got but really, ultimately, it's growing my own business and being able to still serve my clients at a really high level.
You're so good at that.
I have my client appreciation events. And those are like, I feel like more for me because I love to see everyone and because I love to love on my people.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to be in a better mindset, if I'm able to be in a better headspace, I'm
Yeah.
able to serve at a higher level. And that's ultimately what it is service.
Yeah.
I feel like my mission, my purpose is to serve.
Yeah. And you're excellent at that. You do. You love your people well. Your attention to detail is fantastic and all of
And I
those
love
things.
to throw a party.
You do love to throw a party. You do. I wish I'd met you when I was still drinking because you make a mean cocktail. Well, at least they look great. Every event Rose hosts has a signature cocktail, and they just always look so fun. And I think that's great. But yeah, sometimes I think about it. I'm like, I should try that. And I'm like, I'm just going to feel like shit later if I do. So I'm not going to do that. But I love that you do it. They always look beautiful. So if anyone wants to follow along on your journey, follow you, follow the brokerage. Do you want them to follow you on Instagram? Where can people come learn more about Rose?
Instagram is probably the
Okay,
best,
cool.
best place for that. So,
and I'll make sure that all gets linked in the show notes. If you want to follow along, watch Rose's story. She tells all the stories. She does a great job of weaving together life and real estate and business, which is like ultimately my heart. You know, you do it, your style and aesthetic is much different than mine, but I feel like you do that well, where there's your life and then there's the business and then, what you're passionate about comes through very clearly in the way that you show up. So
it was important when people look for me or search for real estate agents. I mean, like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So it's just a very authentic. It's my, it's what you see there is my genuine authentic self. So and I wanted people to see kind of behind what people don't want to see real estate all the time.
They don't at all.
Like they want to get to know you. They want to know if they can trust you, and see if that's a good fit.
Well, and real estate is also such a long, relationship style cycle, right? Like you may meet someone and it could be months, and so it's like, if it's just all real estate all the time, that person isn't going to continue to engage. Whereas they feel like they know it's the whole parasocial relationship.
I don't even want to.
I
don't even want to post all about real estate.
I know, and I mean, I feel that way just in general. That people we're just really craving authenticity and real connection and relationships and people who give a shit. And it feels so simple, right? It's like the bar is so low where if like you just show up and like be honest and serve well and communicate directly and do good things in the world.
Amazing.
I know. We make it so much more complicated than that. Yeah. So anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know. Is there anything you were like, oh, I thought you were going to ask me this and we didn't talk about this? Anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
No.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for the conversation, guys. Go follow Rose. Thank you for being part of our community, of our space, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that. That's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.